Hey everyone, welcome back to the layout once again. Kind of weird times we're living in right now, so I hope everyone's doing well. It's been far too long since my last layout update, and given that I have plenty of extra time right now, I'm going to try my best to upload as frequently as possible. I've got multiple videos in the works, and I just got a bit of work done on the layout. So let's walk around and we'll take a look at what's new since my last update, which was sometime in February, I think. So not a ton completed, but I got some of the nitpicky projects out of the way, and I'll be continuing the scenery later today, which you will see in the next update. So really the first thing to note, if we start here at the bottom of the layout, is I have reconnected the mainline and siding into the reverse loop. So what we're looking at right here is the lower reverse loop back here in the staging room. That's the your standard wooden tie track there. The little leg that comes off of it here, those concrete ties, that's actually the main line inside. It's really just the main line, and as we'll see as I pan back to the main room, you'll see that this track here fleshes out into a siding as well. So the track in the back, even though that goes straight and it looks like the primary line, that actually leads to the yard. So from that turnout to, if I curve here, follow that back track, it comes out of the room here. That's essentially the yard lead. It's a hidden yard lead, but it still acts as one, and it comes out here. So then this fans out into the yard here. You'll see that. And that track I was just showing you, that new one, is now the main line and siding, which until I reconnected that just recently, the main line had actually been out of commission here in front of the yard, because if you remember, if I turn back, the original plan was to have the tracks, or the main line right there, head back here, and then this was going to be a staging yard down here. But we've changed those plans. This is no longer going to be a staging yard. So now I've got everything hooked back together in a sort of reverse loop to reverse loop operating scheme. The other reverse loop, of course, is up here on the upper level. Again, this was originally going to be an upper staging yard, just stub end, and I changed my mind. So now we have two reverse loops, and the main line is now once again fully operational. Alright, so then we come back out here to the yard, and you might notice something different, and that is that I finally installed the physical backdrop on the back edge of the yard. So beforehand, you could see those L braces, the ones that are supporting the upper deck. I just had the exposed wall. It was painted like a primer white, but we had those L braces which were kind of distracting. So what I did was, since those sort of slope out and angle out, it was kind of a trick to install the hardboard backdrop, but I just cut some 1x2 scrap pieces of wood. I installed them in between the braces, and that gave me a mounting point for the hardboard to put that up. And then you can see I painted it my sort of standard sky blue color. Also worth noting, if we just turn to the left here, is that this whole side of the peninsula did not have lights for the longest time. I thought my LED strips had kind of died on me, but it turns out that the wiring just kind of came loose. I use suitcase connectors, and for the very reason that these lights went out, I know a lot of people do not use suitcase connectors, so I just had to redo the connections, and now they work fine. So that's a minor point, but it's great to have lights back over here on the peninsula. Now this is fairly uncharacteristic of me, but I actually sent off a piece of rolling stock to be custom weathered. This car looks great. It was done by Custom Railroader. He mainly posts photos on Instagram, so I will put the link in the description to this video. He also has an eBay page. And anyway, I thought it'd be interesting to send off a car. I've been working a lot on the layout. I haven't had much time to weather my rolling stock, and he did a great job with this and really captured the look of the beer cars with some really nice graffiti. You can see that he also rendered some older sort of faded and chipping graffiti, which again is very sort of typical of these older beer cars. And I really like the way this turned out. It's going to look great running on the layout. So again, be sure to check out his work. He did a great job, and really easy to deal with. Good guy, very professional, and a quick turnaround time. So be sure to check him out. So for some more rolling stock updates, I actually got these quite a while ago, but I don't think I ever updated you on them. It's not too interesting, but I added a few of these auto flood hoppers to the fleet. I got 4 of these in one of those Exact Rail 4-packs, and they're pretty cool cars. I really like them, super detailed. So anyway, just wanted to tell you that I got 4 of these to add to the Coltrane. And then one of my favorite purchases in a while is 3 of these Trinity 5161 hoppers from Athearn Genesis in the Circle Herald or Circle Cross logo. I'm a big fan of these cars. These are from the original, I believe it's the 2002 release or somewhere around there, maybe it was 2003. And I'm really shocked at like the level of detail that these cars have. Not that I didn't expect detail, but some of the minor things like the thin profile wheel sets. You can't really see that here, but they're definitely narrower than your standard wheel set to be sort of semi-prototypical. And then another thing you'll notice if we look in between the cars is that the knuckle couplers, which I think are like an early McHenry coupler, they have a super short shank and a prototypical head size, so they look really nice when they're coupled together. You'll also notice I went ahead and added the safety striping on all these. I have not weathered them, obviously, but it's kind of interesting to look at the different safety striping styles that went on these. So we have one car with the vertical safety striping, and then we've got one here with the horizontal safety striping in between the original white markings. And then this one here also has horizontal, except they put the safety striping on top of the original white markings. So it's just kind of cool. I like those little variations and decided to actually look at prototype photos of each of these to get the safety striping correct. And I threw this 4th car up here. This is my only other Trinity grain hopper that I have from Athearn. This is an RTR release from somewhat recently, and they look pretty similar, but you will notice that it comes with sort of the normal McHenry knuckle coupler with the lower shelf on it. There's no train airline hoses, and then of course no rotating bearing caps, and you don't have those thin profile wheel sets. So still a good model, but believe it or not, the cars that are almost 20 years older are quite a bit nicer. One of the side projects I've been working on is this Kato SD40-2 that I've had for 3 or 4 years now, and I finally got around to installing the TCS decoder that I had planned to put in it, and it's really a lot of fun now. It runs super smoothly and looks great now too. I actually replaced all the lighting, as you can see, so those are all surface mount LEDs in the ditch lights and the headlights. The ditch lights themselves, I actually salvaged the housings, that is. I salvaged those from an old Intermountain ES44 shell that I had for a project a few years ago. So those look pretty good. And then I installed details as well. So this was actually a pre-owned locomotive, and it's 15 or so years old. So given that I was trying to do things as low budget as possible, I was just salvaging detail parts from old projects. But I think it's looking pretty good. What I have to do now, of course, is touch up the paint on the details and do a bit of re-weathering work, because as I said, this is a pre-owned locomotive. So it already had the patchwork done, which was nice, and it had a bit of weathering that I want to go back and sort of touch up. But as you know, I have sort of this long queue of things that I need to weather, so that's pretty low priority right now. I just wanted to get it up and running so that I could do a bit of operations. As far as scenery goes, I haven't completed too much since the last update, but good news is that I have one of the most time-consuming tasks out of the way, and that is painting the rails for my concrete tie track up here. So you can see these finally have some weathering on them. It's kind of a painstaking task. You have to mask the ties with just endlessly cut strips of masking tape, and then you have to airbrush it and sometimes go over with a second coat. So that takes some time. I had about half of the upper level to complete, and I just got that done like a day or two ago. So really what I've been working on since February is just sort of tidying up all the things that I need to get done so that I can get back to scenery. You can see that I sort of worked the dirt and the grass up around into this area. But as you know, I actually had to change a lot of this up here. So I got the rails painted, that's out of the way. So that's one thing I needed to do. And then the other thing I needed to do was rework all the scenery up here, and that involved adding more of a rock cut over here. So you can actually kind of see the transition line that I added sort of deliberately there. That's sort of like a rock shelf that actually protrudes out. But that's also a fairly good indicator of where the original rock cut was. I've since added another little ledge up there, and you can see I've gotten that painted and sort of weathered. Obviously, that was the existing grass, and I've had to add some plaster around the edges, so I'll have to go back in and clean that up, add some more grass, and I'll obviously do that when I get to the rest of the bare paper up there. So as you can see, that scenery didn't exist beforehand, so that'll have to be covered with dirt and grass. But things are coming along. Again, I'm just sort of knocking out the tasks that need to be done before I can just sort of do a sweeping pass with the dirt and grass and other ground cover. Here's a look at another rock cut that I finally got plastered and then painted. That sounded weird. I meant I plastered the rock cut and then painted it. So this one is done, and then if we turn the corner here, oops, almost tripped on the tripod. Here's another rock cut. This is one of the bigger ones. So this, I just got the plaster on, painted it, and then you'll also remember this is actually the site of the old reverse loop. So we're over here in Belmont, and now the reverse loop is actually these two tracks. These were originally the main line and the siding. Now these are actually just one track, so they go into the staging room like I showed you earlier. They make a big loop, and then come back to this point. So that's the reverse loop. The old reverse loop actually went through there. So you can see that square I've patched up. I've sort of gotten some of the edges sanded over. So this will get covered in dirt and it'll all look fine. So again, another little nitpicky task that I had to finish up. So that's done. And then if we move down here over to Belmont Tunnel, you will see that I have the beginnings of the rocks over here. So we have sort of a smooth rock cut, sort of in the style of the other ones that I've been showing you. We've got one of those right here, and then this is sort of done in a different style. These rock cuts are a little rougher, sort of chunkier, and I'm trying to mimic the style of sort of the trench for the old Belmont Tunnel like I've modeled right here. And obviously these will need to get painted. I didn't say that, but these are, I've just started to get to working on these, and they still need paint and washes and all that. And then the final very minor thing that I was working on is over here. I knew I was going to have a dirt road coming down to the tracks here for a grade crossing, and I actually have some wooden grade crossing panels. I don't remember where we got them or who they're from. This one's currently masked over. I was using this as a template. But now I have the plaster and or cardboard up to rail height. So that'll be a really smooth transition for the grade crossing. And now all that's left is coming in with the dirt and then installing the grade crossing panel. So with all that work that I just showed you, aside from the little bit of rock painting that I still need to do, I am prepped and ready for finishing the rest of the dirt. And of course, once that's done, I can come back in, do the grass, and then I'll make a third pass and I'll add trees like you see there. And then the fourth pass, it won't obviously work out that neatly, but ideally I would make a fourth pass and I would come back in with details with like grass tufts and shrubs and signs, equipment boxes, things like that. So we're definitely getting there. The upper level is now all prepped and ready for the charge to the end with the scenery. But the first thing I really want to focus on is just getting a base level of scenery. I think I'm going to do the detailing and all of that later on. I forgot to mention ballast too. Ballast will be somewhere in there before I do the grass. So that's all, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out Custom Railroader. Again, the links are in the description to this video. And stick around. I'll be having plenty more videos coming up very soon. I'm also considering doing a live stream. I don't know how frequently. I used to do that about a year ago. I did quite a few live streams every week. I might do them more frequently now, so maybe share your thoughts, think about what might work for that. It's possible that'll help me stay focused and disciplined while working on the layout. But again, thanks for watching, stay tuned, and I will see you next time.